By the way, today is lesson number 9. Did you check how, and it's number 9 today? Lesson number 9.
Yes, it's lesson number 9.
Okay. I was confused because some of the students are really young. On Saturday night's class, they're like, "This is our last class, teachers. Are you sure about that?" You know, they just want the classes to be over. The young students have that semester 2, term number 2 tests in Vietnam. So I think they're just really tired from all the tests. Yeah. Let's see. We could ask Quan. Hey, Quan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Quan, did you take term number 2 tests this past week?
Uh, uh, not like 2 more weeks. I think
Oh,
so.
2 more weeks. Yeah. And how do you feel, Quan? Do you feel confident?
I think I'm really confident in this test because every lesson that I can attend to, like I take note like everything in the
Mm.
lessons. So I
Yeah.
think I'm pretty good with tests.
You sound like you have so much more energy, Quan. So it's good. Good to hear. You're like energetic, Quan. All right. Who is here? Anne is here. Hello, Anne. Anne, you are in the shadows. You're a mystery man. Are you having a good week, Anne?
Nope.
No, why not? Tell us why.
Uh, Jeff, the last term test just ended. I have free reign, but now my mother thinks that I'm not doing enough work and applied me for a bunch of extra classes.
Oh no. Oh no. So are these one of these classes going to be summer school classes?
Nah, they're not summer school classes. They're literally just extra classes.
Uh, okay.
Yeah, I have to go to school for on weekdays.
Oh. I like how I put this in chat. You have a wonderful vocabulary, uh, Mr. Ann. Free reign. It's just, that's great. Autonomous power. I guess that would be autonomous power, free reign. Very interesting. And well, good luck if you have to take the extra courses. Hello, Lian Lu. How are you? I like your color, Lian Lu. It's a wonderful t-shirt. Oh, no, don't beat the animal to death. It's a funny kid. All right, so Lian Lu, are you there? Lian,
Hello,
how are you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no, it's okay. We're just warming up. Everybody is warming up today. I was talking to Hyan. She says there's a new coronavirus that makes you sleepy with a high fever for a few days. And we were
I
just
never have
joking.
COVID.
Oh, lucky. How did you do that?
I stay home.
I stayed home. I got COVID because I went back to Taipei because the government owed me like 5,000 US dollars. And I told my wife, I'm going to get that money. So I flew from Japan down to Taiwan. And then they said, no more masks. And so I didn't wear a mask. And I finally got COVID 3 years after the pandemic started. It was pretty terrible. I had my 4 vaccines and it still felt really awful. Strange virus. Leon, you don't want COVID. It's a weird one. It's a really weird virus. Like
Even
for
my brother, even my brother had 4 times. We
oh,
live in the
4
same
times.
house, but I didn't have it. But
Is
I
he
locked my door
building?
out with my brother.
Is he building like hyper immunity towards it? Like he'll just come out of this really strong immune system?
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
so, maybe.
oh my gosh. For me, the strangest thing about it is since I was a child, if I have a really high fever, like 38 degrees, 38.5, I won't be able to sleep at night. I'm just so, I'm going tossing and turning. It's so hot. I have such a headache. I really can't sleep. And then my mother would put a cold cloth on my head, or an ice pack. With the COVID, I fell into a deep sleep and I woke up in the morning and my t-shirt was completely wet from my own perspiration. And that's very strange. I went into a deep, heavy sleep, had a very high fever, and then I broke the COVID kind of. I felt better the next day, but that's never happened before. So I think that might be a really dangerous virus. If it can do that to you, if it can knock you down, so I didn't even wake up because of the high fever, then I think that's really kind of a dangerous one to have. Hey, Ms. Ellis, are you there with your cool avatar sunglasses?
Yeah.
How are you, Ellis?
Fine, thank you.
Ellis, I'm asking the younger students about this term number 2 test. Did you take it already or are you preparing for it?
Yeah, I finished the end term exam.
Yeah.
And it's really not so difficult, but I
Okay.
think it's very hard to say that it,
Hmm.
I will be surprised when I see the results.
Okay. The students last night told me that mathematics was the most challenging for them. About 50% of the students didn't do well in math. 50% really love math. So, how about you, Ellis? How's your math?
Okay, but I'm quite afraid about history and geography.
Oh,
Exam.
geography. Yeah. Geography really poses a lot of challenges. One of my secondary school students said in Vietnam, they teach geography very close to history and they start to introduce math analysis, Ellis. Are they doing that in your class?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not sure what they meant by math analysis, but they told me it became really difficult during secondary school. Not so easy and fun like it was in primary school. So I was really surprised by that. Yeah. Hello, Vuduk Loy. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. How are you today?
Yes, good evening, teacher. I'm fine, thank you.
I'm drinking hot tea.
You can call me La.
Hmm.
Yes,
Call you
Vo
La.
is my surname and La
Okay.
is my name. Yes,
All right.
it's quite hard to speak to say, but I think that sometimes it's okay.
Okay. So just call you La.
La.
All right. Because in Japan, they always call like the men to men. You say like Hashimoto or Yamamoto. It's like macho man's culture. So that's why I was calling you Vu, like family name. Hello, Mr. Vu. But La, we'll call you La. All right. Hey, the
Yeah.
question I'm asking everybody, when I was 9 years old, 1975, April 1975, we were
Yeah.
celebrating the 200th anniversary of the city of Boston protested against the British, and the famous American Paul Revere rode his horse to tell everyone the British were coming. And that's when the war against Britain for independence started. But that same week in 1975, Vietnam had its reunification as the forces of the North took Saigon and became Ho Chi Minh City. So, do you remember that?
That's very, very iconic. I'd like to say that's very ironic, actually. So basically, these Americans who are actually no less than dictators, are celebrating. They got their independence from the British.
Yes, and that's
And
exactly
then,
what I know.
when
I was
we got
going to
our
bring that
independence, they were still
topic.
protesting.
I know. It's ironic and it's actually hypocritical on the Americans' part. It was a strange time, and let me tell La about it. As a boy, we were all really excited about America's birthday, but it was also happening with what we call the fall of Saigon. And Vietnam, you say, no, reunification day. So, La, do you remember it as a boy?
Actually, I was born after renew
Okay,
year,
sorry.
1 year, 1 year
Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
reunion day. Yeah, and I remember as I was told by my fathers and previous people said that that was Vietnam Wars and a lot of thing happens. A lot of people was die.
Yeah.
And that was histories of fighting of Vietnamese peoples. And now the 50 years passed, and Vietnam's hold ceremonies to encourage the spirits, strong spirits of fighting and protect independence of Vietnamese people.
Yeah.
And it also say to the world that Vietnam has a spirit now, and also come um, also enjoys with poor communities, and we try to work both in economics and in building relationships to every countries in the world. That's something I know. I do not stay in Ho Chi Minh City now, so but as far as I heard that from my friend, a lot of people come and cheer to the event.
Yeah. And if it's success, because, you know, Hai An is in Russia, Tintin is in Germany. I had students in France and Canada. So Vietnamese citizens are going everywhere in the world so other countries can understand the Vietnamese. One of my students lived in Japan, and she was the manager of a factory very close to where I am in Hiroshima. And we can always talk about that. Now she lives in Osaka. So it's really wonderful. I think it was a successful the last 50 years have been very successful. Very good. Very proud of Vietnam, actually. What should we do? In Japanese we say doshio. What shall we do next? I want to read Anna Tran's response to the homework, because this was how do we say most excellent response here, Anna Tran. I always, and also Mr. Tintin. Let's do Tintin's first, because Tintin, I didn't check Tintin's mic though. Tintin, is your mic okay? Mr. Tintin, is your mic okay?
Yeah, now.
Hey, good to hear from you, Tintin. Hey, Tintin, I liked your response. This was really interesting. Can you read it for everyone?
Personally, the page which I thought was the most important is the page about grammar of AI. Grammar is one of the most obvious things that a person could see in an AI text. AI texts are always flawless in terms of grammar. This is one of the most important topics in writing about AI for me, because everyone makes mistakes. If a text is nearly flawless, then it normally isn't a human who wrote that text. It is completely humane to make mistakes and show your writing.
That's an excellent point. You know, as a teacher, it's fine when students make mistakes, because then I can take them through the grammar step by step and show them why you should do it differently, and you correct your mistakes. If it's all AI, there are no mistakes to correct, and then there's no lesson being learned there, right? So since I'm good about editing and showing why, this is an excellent point, right? And then I wrote here, Tintin, that if a student then takes an exam and they're making the same grammar points, you know, this is written very nicely, Tintin. If the student doesn't make a grammar mistake in any of the writing that AI gave them, when they sit for a really important exam, they might make some really basic mistakes, and the people checking the work is going to know that, well, they're just going to see that student is making some basic grammar errors. Do you think so, Tintin?
Yeah.
You know, if you're like a British person and you're grading an IELTS test for the essay portion and you see some really basic grammar points, it could be the student would get a lower grade, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. By the way, are you going to take IELTS, Tintin?
I don't know yet.
Yeah. That's through most everyone knows, because it's here, I'll put it in the notes for your writing here. British Council has become so popular worldwide as an education. The British Council, they offer the IELTS, and they're in Vietnam. I know a guy who taught for them in Hanoi, I think. So it's British Council teaching of English and essay writing. So the people who grade them are native speakers. And so they're pretty strict. IELTS is strict. If they see basic grammar mistakes, they're going to take off points for that, right? All right, nice work, Tintin. Thank you for sharing that. Let's go to Ha-An's as well. Not Ha-An, it's Anna Tran. Anna Tran, nice work on this as well. Let's see if I can get it ready here. And here we go. One moment, please. I have too many things up. All right, so we'll save Tintin's and we'll go to Anna's. Yeah, this one was a really great topic. Anna, I'm glad you introduced this one. It's really good. I think we talked about this briefly, this new idea of AI hallucinating. It's just such an amazing thing that these software developers come up with and AI developers hallucinating, making really strange mistakes in their responses. So let's go to Anatran. Anatran, are you there?
Hi, are you
Oh,
able
no.
to?
Oh, hi, Anatran. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Are
yeah,
you?
you're good. Okay. Shall I make it a little bit bigger? Sometimes students are looking on smartphones or tablets, so I should make that bigger, right? Okay, there you go, Anna. Would you like to read it?
Yeah, of course. In one of the slides on the topic of AI tools for writing, Prof. Stosky mentioned the effect of AI hallucination. The term AI hallucination describes a phenomenon where a large language model, like a generative AI chatbot, perceives patterns or objects that are non-existent or imperceptible to humans. And this makes the model generate outputs that are nonsensical or altogether inaccurate, although they can seem realistic at first glance. In these cases, these hallucinations occur due to various factors. For example, the model tries to fill in the gaps based on similar patterns from its training data, leading to incorrect guesses. Personally, when writing essays, I found writing citations to be a tedious task, so I often needed the help of AI to rearrange the list of references I used in my essay. But because I know of the AI hallucination, I was more cautious of its responses, and I always make sure to double check its citations.
Hmm.
For some publications that use AI for referencing their citations, hallucination could occur. And if you detect an AI hallucination when reading a paper in any journal, the possibility that the journal is a predatory journal is very high, as the peer review process failed to notice this major mistake.
Yeah, I was wondering on this, Anna, the predatory journal, is this just a journal that isn't very serious? Nobody takes it seriously because there is no good peer review processes? It's just such an interesting, I've never seen that before, a predatory journal. I have heard stories of professors in Japan submitting their materials to journals that aren't very well respected because they have to publish once a year. And so I was wondering if that might be what you mean, Anna, by predatory journal.
Well, predatory journal is basically journals that they exploit the open access model, like they charge the author. So author have to pay money to publish on the journal, but the peer review process is not like up to the standards. So
Mhm.
yeah, they just receive your money, but they don't review your paper, and they just
Oh,
publish it right in the journal. So your paper is very low quality. Yeah, and
yeah,
it's going to make your academic reputation go
yeah,
down. Yeah.
yeah. Because in those journals too, they have really controversial things like Holocaust deniers and things like this. And it also, the reputation is really bad, right? I think I was playing with the idea, Anna. I said this. I wonder if you could test the legitimacy of a journal you might suspect of lacking academic standards by intentionally submitting information that you know is not satisfactory with incorrect citations in order to see if the journal catches it or the AI catches it. Uh, like it's a reverse process. But I only wrote that quickly, Anna, so I'm not sure if that would work. It's just an idea. Testing AI. Now, my nephew is a lawyer. He was in the city of Seattle, but he wanted to change from Seattle to Portland, Oregon to buy a cheaper house. So he moved south and he has to take the Oregon state law test called the state bar test for lawyers. And he was asking Chat GPT some questions. And he's a very intelligent lawyer. He found ChatGPT was using laws from other states in America that cannot be used in Oregon. And ChatGPT was claiming that this was Oregon state law. And he knew this was not true. So he was really disappointed with ChatGPT for questions of law. So that's a warning like that. It was a real hallucination. He said, ChatGPT is making stuff up, Uncle Brendan. So he was really disappointed. Okay. Let's see. I wanted to go back to introductions part 2 because we did this 2 or 3 weeks ago. And there was a second part in the textbook about the importance of introductions. So just the opener to this is tonight is part 2 of our work on introductory paragraphs. Our focus is selecting a background to include in the introduction so readers will understand the essay topic. If you feel the essay topic is a familiar one, provide a brief background and focus on presenting information which may challenge what readers already believe about the topic. Challenge conventional wisdom is what is used in social media. The textbook we use suggests using the issue of obesity or grossly overweight people worldwide. Since many Americans suffer from obesity and the country is the home of fast food hamburgers, a relationship between unhealthy food and getting too fat may be the general assumption or conventional wisdom our readers will make. However, we can use the hook, and I think we talked about the hook. I'm not sure if it was in writing number 3 or writing number 4, but the hook that brings your reader into your writing because it's so interesting. So if we can use the hook we have discussed, where we do the unexpected thing with our thesis and use this approach instead. So we have the rise in worldwide obesity rates has less to do with the spread of American style fast food and has more to do with an increase in the American style fast life. And so this part here that's underlined, that's the change. That's like the interesting hook that leads to your thesis. That is not just because Americans are successful in creating hamburger franchises like McDonald's and Burger King all over the world. This is true, it's valid, but it's actually what the person who wrote this wants to focus on. It's the fast-paced life that is going globally that is a huge contributing factor to obesity all around the world now. So this is interesting. Let's see. Hyan, can you read for me? So I took this from the textbook, and probably you've seen this in the textbook. I don't mean to write directly from the textbook, but it was a really good example. Would you like to read the blue? I have to take
yes.
a tea break. Thanks.
Introducing the idea of a fast-paced American style, the American lifestyle of an incredible busy lifestyle that creates a need for fast food is a little unexpected. It's a nice twist or hook. We assume readers may be familiar with obesity rates increasing around the world, and readers might assume that the problem is simple. Too much fast food, we can also be described as junk foods. Quick background references might include statistics on the rate of worldwide obesity, clarification of how many kilograms overweight is considered obese, previous assumptions about the causes of obesity, plus a challenge to that assumption.
Yeah, and I think we talked about statistics can also be used as a hook if the statistics, I'll put this hook, if the statistics are kind of shocking. You know, you put a statistic in there of a percentage that's like really unbelievable. And you say, wow, I didn't know it was so high. And so that's also the hook, the shocking hook. All right, let me see. Now here, this is kind of fun because Anna was reading her paper and I noticed she used while as much as I used it as well. So I wrote, in last week's class, I mentioned that I enjoy using while as the start of clause, and it should be a clause, to challenge an assumption or to make a distinction for an idea. Another great starter that challenges an assumption is although. So I forgot about that last week. You can also use although. It's almost the same. Here's how we can apply although to our introductory challenge on obesity. Although many people blame fast food culture for the rise of obesity in many parts of the world, new research has revealed that fast food meals have no more calories than home-cooked meals. This is pretty shocking. You know, fast food and food that you eat in your house actually have the same amount of calories, and but it doesn't talk about fat. Now, this is interesting because just reading this, I think, well, what about fat oils? You know, you could cook healthy food at home without as much oil. So I'm going to put a question mark there. And so we could use while here. We could say, while many people blame fast food culture for the rise of obesity in many parts of the world, new research has revealed that fast food meals have no more calories than home-cooked meals. So in short, the use of a challenge in an introduction to one's thesis in an essay is a great way to grab the reader's attention as it makes the reader aware of what you are going to discuss. Okay. So let's see, we have another one here. Let's see who would like to read. La, are you there? Mr. La. Hello, La.
Yes.
Would you like to read this part here?
Yeah. Now, our very precise, concise textbooks always remember to include highly important or salient points in each exercise. The textbook asks, what if the topic you are going to discuss is not too well known? Raise question. If the topic is less familiar, more background information may be necessary for the reader to understand the topic. For example, topic ways to improve the lives of people in developing countries. Says it's funding for desalination plants is one way to increase social stability and economic growth in those areas of the developing world in need of fresh water, a resource arguably some more vital than oils and more precious than gold.
Very good. Interesting, because the last part is the real hook. The real shocking thing is it could be that fresh water is becoming more valuable than oil or gold. And that draws the reader in as the hook. It's really interesting. So our topic, ways to improve the lives of people in developing countries. And so this maybe assumes that your readers don't know about desalination plants. One way to, taking the salt out of the water. The Israelis are using these, the Saudi Arabians, the Australians. California is using desalination plants. And so it's taking the salt out of the seawater to make fresh water, because water is becoming more precious than gold. So that's something new for the reader. Since general readers for something like an online posting on social media may not have much knowledge of two key points of the essay, the issue of water shortage and the use of desalination plants. It says desalination, but on media, on television, they say desalination.
You can just say that it is less salty.
Less salty.
To make it the issue of water shortage and the use of you can just say factories that salt water. You don't have to be that fancy in words.
Very good, Ed. Okay. Thank you. I'm laughing. That's a really good point, actually. Anne says, keep it simple, teacher. All right. And very good, very good. Okay, so the scope of the water shortage problem, countries affected, how lives are affected, resulting in social and economic problems. Statistics on water availability, a definition and description of desalination. I like this better, desalinization, but in the book they use desalination. Desalinate. I can't even say it properly because I'm used to saying desalinization, or taking the salt out of the ocean water, as Mr. Ann said. Okay, so these are our points that could be covered in the introduction. The textbook provides an interesting example that I used to use this in my English description groups here in Japan. This should be English discussion groups. I was writing this too quickly. Discussion groups. I used to teach morning classes to housewives in Japan. And at the headquarters in Osaka, this person kept putting in these controversial topics into our Tuesday morning discussion group. And I felt embarrassed to teach this. So I wrote, this was sometimes embarrassing topic for me to discuss, but it was a textbook units for discussion and we had to cover these topics, but the housewives didn't feel comfortable with them. And if you have worked with the Japanese, they become very quiet and they don't show their emotions. So I wasn't sure if they were really upset by these topics or not. It was my first year of teaching and it was really uncomfortable. That was 33 years ago, everybody. So the thesis was, arranged marriages are still an integral aspect of many cultures and actually seem to be more stable than more modern love marriages. So arranged marriages where the families agree that this would make a good wife for a husband, or this would make a good husband for a wife. In Japan, this is called omiai. I don't know if they still have these, but they actually have professional service that you pay thousands of dollars to, and they create a good match for you. Now I think it's all on computer and done online, but you still have to pay money. They also have this thing called compa, which is a group date that you go to. It could be a restaurant or a hotel restaurant, and all these young people, not young people, 30s and 40 people who want to get married, they meet each other at the compa, the group date, and there's not a lot of pressure. You just meet people, and if you like each other, you exchange your contact details through like Zalo, and then you begin chatting and going on dates. So compa is an alternative to this OMI. This OMI is much more formal and it's expensive because basically it's a service looking for a wife for you. So the thesis is arranged marriages are still an integral part of many cultures and actually seem to be more stable than the more modern love marriages. This is the big argument. The Japanese older generation says, yes, you may fall in love, but your marriage isn't going to be a good one because you married for love and you should have talked to your mother or father or grandparents and aunt and uncles to see what their opinion is of this person. You see, it's like a group opinion on who you should marry. And in many cases, they'll even go out and try to find you a better husband or a better wife if you say you're getting married. Now, I don't know if that's the situation in Vietnam. I asked a ladies class last spring. It was mostly women business professionals if this was true. So let me ask Lian about this. Lian, are the arranged marriages, are those old fashioned in Vietnam now? Do people just do it independently, meet somebody?
Yeah, we don't have arranged marriage now. I
Yeah.
think maybe in the past, but now we do not have that.
Yeah. Do you think after 1975, the reunification, the government in Hanoi said, let's not try to do this because it involves money
Yeah,
and
can I say something?
power? Yeah, go
There
ahead.
are a few tribes that literally just find women, that women
Yes,
just
it's true.
lying around, and then they just take it home and like, can you
There you
marry
go.
me? There's a
And
bunch of tribes of that.
you jumped ahead to the second part of my lesson, respect for traditional cultures. So this image shows 5 different traditional cultures. So it could be that they still do an arranged marriage in a village in the Central Highlands, right? So, and I promise we'll talk about that. It's a really good point. By the way, there is a traditional Japanese marriage. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. So there it is. This is Shinto, the original 1,000-year-old religion of Japan, because they have the black hats. You know it's not Buddhist when they do the black hats. And this is the young couple. She's got their traditional thing. Now, did this couple meet for love or was this an arranged marriage? I don't know. It's just an image of a traditional Japanese marriage. Let me see. Now, can you provide background for this topic? Anne, you just said traditional villages probably still do this. Leanne said, no, our society doesn't really do that anymore. If you were to put the thesis, arranged marriages are still an integral aspect of many cultures and actually seem to be more stable than the more modern love marriages. And go ahead, start talking. What I'm going to do is type out your feelings about the traditional peoples of Vietnam. Do you want to focus on that, Anne? No. No. You're funny. Let me go to someone else then. Very entertaining, Mr. N. Let's see what we have. Let's see. Let's go to Hyan. Do you feel okay? Is it okay to talk?
Yes, but I'm still thinking about the idea.
Okay. I mean, if you just want to start talking, I can take notes. I do this for the younger students. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could just be rough sketch, rough notes. You know, general impressions.
Maybe I need several minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
let me
can
put
collect.
this up. Here's a note from me. Okay. I'm laughing as I write that because my cousin Bernie told me that 18 years ago she had 4 daughters. So Bernie went from being quite liberal and socialist in the 1970s. When she had the 4 daughters, she became somewhat conservative about marrying for her daughters. Her younger sister, Evie, who's my really good friend, married a man from Holland, and the man suddenly became very religious and made it difficult. So they divorced, and he lived in Holland and she lived in Ireland. So Bernie said, I wish she would have talked to my mother and father and the rest of the girls in her family to make the decision as a group decision. And I was surprised by that. I said, Bernie, that sounds like Japan. And she said, yes, I know, but that's how she felt. So I was really surprised by that. And your microphone is off. Do you want to on? Anne, would you like to contribute something?
Yeah, just look quick.
All right. And you say I'm too young to think about getting married right now. Okay. Let's see. And did you know in Israeli culture, boys and girls got married when they were 12 years old? And that's ancient 2000
Romans did that
years ago.
too, so I guess Jews aren't any better than Romans. Yeah.
12 years old.
Well, you see, Israelis
Hmm.
children to marry each other. It's
Hmm.
also no surprise that they kill children.
All
It's
right,
literally
let's not
said
get
on the
into that
TV.
one. All right. All right.
I'm pretty sure Hitler had some right in killing a.
All right. All right. Hot topic. Let's avoid that one for now. Let's go. Let's see. I want to talk to La about this. Sorry, I didn't call on the younger students. I'm calling on the adult students because you have an impression about marrying and should it be for love. I would feel embarrassed to ask like Alice and Tintin this because you guys are still teenagers. It might be something that's a little bit uncomfortable talking about. Let's just check. I shouldn't assume anything. Hey, Alice, are you there?
I'm here.
Alice, you're a secondary school student now, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of this idea of like grandmother, grandfather, mother, father helping you to make the decision for marriage? Do you think it should be all your decision, or should family members help you find someone good to marry?
I don't think family should agree on someone you don't even know to be married.
There you
Secondly,
go, Alice.
you're only 12 years old. How?
I know. That's why I brought up that thing in some ancient cultures, the boy or girl was married when they were 12 years old. Yeah. All right. So now you could use statistics there if you wanted to organize your thoughts. Now this is interesting. I'm going to use ChatGPT as a source, and I'm laughing Anatron because I hope it doesn't hallucinate on me, right? That was our big topic for today. I hope ChatGPT doesn't hallucinate, all right? Let's run something by ChatGPT here for fun. I asked last night, you can still see my question if I do the share screen. I had to pronounce Aozai. I had to ask ChatGPT, what is an Aozai? Let me see, is this correct? It's on ChatGPT, yeah. So I had a picture of a traditional aozai. It looks like aodai in Japanese style, but it's aozai in Vietnamese style. Because of last night's lesson, I had to ask, what is the traditional dress in Vietnam? Question I want to ask is, what percentage of Japanese marriages are arranged by a professional service in the 2020s versus the same the percentage in the 1980s, let's say. Let's see if ChatGPT can give that information, and hopefully it's telling the truth, right? Okay, so is it going to be response number one? Hey, what's going on, ChatGPT? All right, long response. Okay, so it gives response one, response two. I notice ChatGPT is doing that more often now. I think, yeah, response two has the sources. but as we were talking about early, always check your sources, right? Let's see who can read for this one. Let's get someone to read because my voice is kind of hurt. Hyan, would you like to read this one?
Yes. In the early 1980s, arranged marriage, as known as OMI, accounted for approximately 30% of all marriage in Japan. This was a substantial decrease from earlier decades. For instance, in 1955, about 63% of marriages was arranged, dropping to 7% by 1998. Professional matchmaking services in the 2020s. By the 2020s, the landscape of matchmaking in Japan has evolved. Traditional arranged marriage became rare, but professional matchmaking service gained prominence. In 2020, activities organized by the marriage agencies and similar online services collectively refers to as Konkatsu,
Yeah,
like that. I don't
yeah, it's good.
accounted for 16.5% of all marriage. Additionally, the use of internet-based services for meeting partners has increased between July 2018 and June 2021. 13.6% of newly weddings meet through internet services such as social networking sites and dating apps.
Yeah, so there we go again. The internet is kind of destroying a whole business, Hyan. These professional services used to charge thousands of dollars. I used to see the people who did this. They were dressed in very nice suits, and the women too would do it too. They had beautiful women's suits, and it was big money. Now it's down to just 16.5% of the arranged marriages. I talked to the housewives. Three of them were really honest, and they said their arranged marriage worked very well. They said it was a good match, that the professional service did a good job of finding them a partner. They were quite happy with the service. So I thought that was interesting. They shared that. By the way, it has Nippon.com, Your Doorway to Japan. Here it has Next Shark, and then this is a Japanese source. It's a PDF. So it actually gave three sources. Kind of interesting. So all of this could be used. I'm just going to copy all of this if I may. And there's this expression in American English. All of that becomes fair game for statistics, like a shocking statistic that you could put right in the piece here. So I put this into our original class notes, and this would make a really nice statistic right there. So before I ask, could you give your opinion on this on here? And so I just stuck this in here, and you could work with this. You could work really well with this. It even gave a source here. Again, but we have to be careful of our sources, as Anna wrote in her thing, the hallucinating part, right? Okay. And there it is. Okay, so let me warm you up for homework. We can do as much as we can so the homework isn't so stressful for students who are busy this week. Here's another thesis we can do in class or use for homework. The thesis is, although people are better informed about other cultures through the internet, racism and ethnocentrism is apparently increasing ethnocentrism. You see this in America, where white Christian nationals are being actually really bad to Latinos and people who are in America without proper visas. There are millions and millions working in agriculture, and Trump is trying to get them removed. It's a really hot topic.
When have we seen that before? When have we seen that before, guys? Definitely not in Vietnam.
All right, so now, do you say that sarcastically, Anne, or did you see ethnocentrism in Vietnam? Because your population is 100 million. Let me open this up.
No, it was before 1975 with the Christians.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Vietnam, you don't have a labor shortage, no labor shortage. So this is why America has 16 million immigrants who do not have visas, because in California, nobody else is picking the fruits and vegetables in constructing, building houses, because America has a housing shortage. Nobody is willing to start working on houses. And carpenters from Mexico, Guatemala are very highly skilled. They can work really fast, and they put up good quality houses. And
Trump wants to deport them, so I'm not stopping him. Probably will make America even poorer than it is now.
But it's creating a labor shortage. So if you look at some housing areas, the houses aren't being finished. So it's causing a housing crisis. So this isn't a really good idea to deport them all. Okay, so the background, I chose this picture as kind of a provocative picture on ethnocentrism. Let me ask Hai on this one and Lien about this. Let me start with Lien because I haven't talked to her in a while. Lien, in the Vietnamese schools, like geography class and social studies, do they teach about all the different ethnic groups in Vietnam?
Yeah, we definitely have that in our subject of in school. Yeah.
Do the classes have this thing called normative teaching, where you're trying to teach a societal ethics or morality? And in this case, it would be like the theme would be tolerance towards the ethnic minorities. Like
No, we teach like culture and embrace or helping each other, like we are like a family.
Yeah. Oh, okay. One nation, one family.
Nation and culture and
okay.
Yeah.
But
the
does it
teacher,
also
it's ethnic, like clothes, custom and tradition and food and cuisine.
Actually, it's interesting, Leanne, because as an essay question last September, I asked my debate class, do you think it's a good idea for Vietnamese schools to create an extra credit thing in summertime where a young secondary or even primary group of students could go to one of the native areas on the Mekong Delta or the highlands and stay with the family for 3 days or 5 days as part of their education? They love the idea. They said, we would love to do that. I was really proud of them. I said, but you could get sick from the food. You might find their customs strange. You might see them killing animals in front of you, for food, like chickens or ducks. I said, oh, no problem, teacher. We want to do this. This is a great idea. So I told them, well, introduce it if you're like in a group that gives feedback to the government education ministry about what to do. You could suggest that, like a 5-day working holiday in the highlands. Let's ask a young student that question. Hey, Alice, it's you again. Hey, Alice, how are you? Miss Alice, are you there? Alice, would you be interested in like going to a rural part of Vietnam and meeting the original people and working for like 5 days with your friends? You don't have to go alone, and you stay with the traditional families and you learn about farming or hunting or working on the river, fishing. Would you be interested in something like that as part of your education?
Actually, I have experienced that once.
Oh, you do? Okay. Tell us about your experience.
A visit to the countryside. It's actually very good, but it's also very hardworking.
Okay. Was it something your family did, or did your school do it?
My friends, we have experience. It's kind of hard, and we kind of don't want to do the work again one more time.
Did you how many days did you work, Alice?
Maybe 4 to 5 days.
4 to 5, yeah, that's exactly the amount of time I was thinking. Like, yeah, because 2 weeks would be kind of crazy for young students, right? All right. Alice, it was really hard work and it was really hot. Well, okay, her microphone isn't. All right. Very interesting. I'm kind of surprised by these answers. I just assumed nobody had done that, and Ellis has done that already. All right. Very cool, Ellis. All right. So let me ask Hyan's question there. For Hyan and Anatran, you are both involved in research. So the experience towards the original question was although people are better informed about other cultures through the internet, racism and ethnocentrism is apparently increasing around the world as people find more opportunities to compare their own culture to that of others. So, is there in Vietnam, is there basic tolerance for tolerance towards the ethnic minorities in Vietnam, Hyan?
Yes, I think we have a tolerance towards the ethnic minority. For example, when I attend when I writing my exam at to enter the university, my friends from ethnic minority group, she have the plus several point from the government. So I think like government try to help ethnic minority student group can enter have opportunity to enter the university level.
All right. Yeah. So they give them like more encouragement to get into the university level. In the university level, Hyan, do they study agriculture? A lot of governments invite them to work in study agriculture to improve their areas.
It depends on their research and then their interest. For example, I was study in the military university, and then some of my friends they from minority they call like Mường, the ethnic minority Mường, and then they study like something about the party, and then later on when they finish their study, they will come back to their home city, and then gather people together and help them like how to like with agriculture, and then how to make to become like a community, something like that.
Okay.
And then they also help people to practice English because they want to invite more tourists to develop them as a city.
And also they want the English because they have to communicate with international aid workers for development. That's one thing I read.
Yeah.
There was this article I read for last year's class that the World Bank was working with the Vietnamese government to try to convince the ethnic minorities on the Mekong Delta to only plant 2 rice cycles for 1 year. Usually they do 3. And the ethnic people said, we're going to lose money. We have to plant 3. And they said, no, we're going to flood the fields because we don't have enough water for 3 rices. We're going to have you raise ducks. And the people said, we know nothing about ducks. So they had to send university agricultural people and livestock to show them how to take care of ducks. But the original people said the duck thing was actually a huge success. They didn't realize how much money they could make in ducks. So that's become a new thing, like 2 rice plantings and 1 huge lake for ducks. And it's kind of fascinating they did that. I'm not sure long term if that will be successful, but it's just one of the ideas. So what do you think? This was the idea in the book. It was the ethnocentrism. Would you be interested in that for a homework assignment? Just a paragraph. It just has to be 1 paragraph, an introductory paragraph that's going to introduce us to the topic of ethnocentrism on the rise. I could easily write a paragraph about that in America with what's going on right now. But with that topic, let me ask some students here. Let's see, Anatran, are you still here?
Hi.
Hi, Anna. Is this idea of the ethnic minorities, tolerance for ethnic minorities, do you think it's an interesting topic for a 1 paragraph homework assignment?
Well, personally, my background is actually STEM, so I study like science, biomedical science.
Okay.
cultural studies for me is not really I would say it's not interesting, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just yeah, it just not really fit my background,
And I didn't know you taught STEM. That's really interesting because I was helping with STEM in Taipei with a really wonderful, eccentric Taiwanese science. He's the head of the science department at the high school, named Sean Wu. He's such a funny man. He was all STEM for his students, Anna. So I'm really surprised to hear that. Okay. I'm using the textbook that, Haiyan, you also have the textbook, the green one. I don't know if you can see that. It's there. So it's, they had the topics. So there was ethnocentrism. Another one is nanotechnology. Let me write this one out. It might be more interesting for you. Let me do this one if I can bounce my book correctly. This other topic was for a thesis, just one paragraph response, everybody. Thesis. And here it is. It's the argument could be made that nanotechnology has been the most influential science in the 21st century due to the number of life-changing products developed from it. So I'll just type that out. If anyone is interested in science, this one is the argument could be made that nanotechnology has been the most influential science in the 21st century due to the number of life-changing products developed from it. Okay, so then the goal with this thesis statement would be to support this with the background. All you have to do is add the background. You say, teacher, what are we doing? Just one paragraph, can you discuss the background of it? You can do two kinds of background. You can do basic background, or you can do a little bit more detailed background. So remember, two choices. If you think the people reading your paper know all about it, then simple background. But if you think that they don't know much about it, you could do more informative background for your introduction paragraph. And there's another one about cinema. And I'll tell you what, I'll type out the 5 possibilities again and put them in the Zalo for your homework. And you can choose just one. It's just one paragraph. And the paragraph, just to review, would look a little bit like this. We'll go to let me get a good one. This. Actually, it's the thesis that's written in about 3 or 4 sentences. So actually, it's just a thesis. It's not even an introductory paragraph, to tell you the truth. It's just a thesis statement. So if your topic is ways to improve the lives of people in the developing countries, then you could use your thesis as just this. So it's to build a thesis statement. Okay, so let's see another example. This would be enough. I know it's very simple homework, but it's to kind of put a hook in there to challenge assumptions. Okay. Here's another one. This one's longer. Actually, no, this one is shorter. Okay. So do you see that hook there? So basically, we're writing kind of a hook. We're challenging it. And I do like this one, though, although. The use of although here. Although many people blame fast food culture for the rise of obesity in many parts of the world, new research has revealed that fast food meals have no more calories than home-cooked meals. And then maybe you could expand on this, to make the homework a little bit more challenging. If you could write one paragraph after this, like recent statistics show, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this plus one paragraph for homework. All right. And I'll put some new topics for you. So it's not a very long homework. So just one paragraph. Okay. All right. Any questions before we finish for tonight?
I have question like introduction. We must have a hook, statistic, historical situation, definition of key term, and different perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And choose just one, I think, Hyan. Like if you could do that.
The scope, right? Definition.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would look like this. We could go 1. And then here we could go 2. I think it's just to choose one. Unless you could do all 3, Hyan, if you wanted to. If you like skillfully could put all of that in one introduction paragraph, you could say this essay will examine the scope of the water shortage problem, countries affected, how lives are affected, resulting in social economic problems. In part 2, we will examine the statistics on water availability. 3, a definition and description of desalination. If all of this was in one introductory paragraph, it would be kind of interesting if you could do that. Skillfully do that. I think you could do that, Hyan. You're a good writer. But
I hope so.
I leave it up to you. Because like you could put this, you could say like globally 40% of the world's populations still do not have access to good quality water. This has affected lives in India, Africa, causing social problems. Could it be that desalination is a way forward? And I could see that all in one paragraph, Okay. So I promise I'll put all of the topics in the Zalo. I have to teach the next class, so I will probably do this Vietnam time around 9 p.m. You'll see the all of the choices in Zalo that you could use for the arranged marriages, tolerance towards ethnic communities, nanotechnology. Here's one on cinema, and the last one is drug trafficking and drug abuse. So like 5 topics. Just choose one and see if you can. But you can also do your own topic if you want to. I'll leave it up to you. Okay. So thank you very much for coming, everybody. Have a good reunification day coming up on Wednesday, the 30th. So it's a great week because the 29th is my birthday. And then my friend John's birthday will be on Saturday, and you have reunification day on the 30th. So I think it's the magic week of April. Really good. Okay. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care. And thanks for your stuff. Hyan, thanks. Thanks, La. Thanks, Lian. Bye-bye, Alice.
Take care. All the best on the birthday.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just laughing at Anne's comments here. And we'll discuss that later. Anne wants to